Good evening, everybody. Welcome to round 2 in TF1 eSports. We are on round 2, and we are off to Bahrain for this evening. Your standings after one round: Williams at the top of the constructors' standings, with McLaren second, Red Bull Racing third, Ferrari fourth, Alpine fifth, Aston Martin and Haas rounding out the 7-point scoring teams as of right now. And also in the Drivers' Championship, Apam took the win after Foxy's 6-second post-race penalty for track limit violations. He is currently second, with John Liu in third there with 8 points. Gabri Twins with 6 points. Fifth is Steve Ronaldo. Then Murito and Van Vomanor and Francesco rounding out your top 8-point scorers. But of course, qualifying is already underway, and we are going to see here what happens. We'll just need to plonk certain things down there. Of course, our sponsors in the bottom right-hand side there. And we'll see what is going on. Qualifying is already underway, but no laps on the board. Already somebody, though, out in qualifying, and we are underway. So it's one of the Williams, I think, that is going to start the flying lap here. Of course, Bahrain is a 5.4-kilometer circuit, which translates to roughly 3.3 miles, with a lap record here held by none other than Pedro de la Rosa from the MP420 back in 2005, the McLaren, which was a 1:31.4. And at the moment, of course, opened in 2004. It came with 5 layouts, and 2 of them have already been used. Of course, the one we are familiar with right now, currently the one being used. Then one time in 2010, they did use the endurance layout, but due to a lack of overtaking, they have since abandoned that and have stuck with this layout since 2011. So some of the track was realigned, especially in 2005. It was made 5 meters longer. It was the first circuit to be awarded the FIA Institute Centre of Excellence. Interpret that as you will. Other very serious to race around here are the World Endurance Championships, even V8 Supercars, and of course the support races such as F2, F3, and of course the Porsche Super Cup Series. Now, going into affairs with the championship, and we are currently looking at Spindler coming across the line first, and we had a great qualifying 8th position, but unfortunately couldn't really keep 8th place as he lost 7 positions to finish down in 15th there. So looking to improve, and he is the first one to set a time for tonight. And then, of course, next across the line will be the Racing Bulls of Ninja, 2.4 seconds away. No, sorry, no, 1.4 seconds away. Then Chirolo back with us after his reserve, Luigi, was in the seat and actually got a podium there, hence why Red Bull were in third there, but with no drivers with the points there. So as there were a couple of reserves, such as Steve Ronaldo as well, Francesco ended up getting the singular points for 8th place in the championship. So that's how that's worked out. In case you're wondering how come Francesco's on there when he didn't even finish in the top 10, that is why, as John Liu, of course, pole position last week, but failed to convert it. Unfortunately, had to settle for outside the podium altogether, 4th place, but hoping to make amends this week. And he's off to a very good start indeed, as also we are having times coming thick and fast as, John Liu has had a disconnect there and is straight into the pit lane. Luckily, he hasn't had his name grayed out, so that means he is still on a roll. He is still currently in the session with us. So, okay, so he is all right. Now, of course, just want to make sure everybody is aware that the sponsors on the bottom left-hand side of your screen there are currently TF1's sponsors. Of course, special thanks going out to Gled Creazioni, Meta Incisioni, and of course, Rocia Liccardo. Thank you very much for sponsoring TF1, and thank you for helping us bring this championship to you week to week. 14th place Murito with no time on the board at the moment. Last week was able to manage 10th place and then get a 9th place position. Can he go one step further, maybe improve on his qualifying? 9 drivers at the moment who've set a time. Murito is now the 10th to make a time, and he's up to 5th there, so we'll see how that compares. Francesco across the line to start his flying lap as well. and, well, looking to try and make things just a little bit better. I don't think he would have preferred 10th place as a finishing spot, but then again, I don't think he would have liked 16th as a qualifying spot either. So, with that being well, with improvements looking to be made, he's hoping for better here, as Pinolo as well was very off the pace. The last time we saw him was in the preseason, and actually invalidated a qualifying time as well. So, not going to be very popular at the moment with the pack, so we'll see what he can do. But Pinolo didn't show representative pace in Silverstone. Have things improved here as he locks up into turn 10 and invalidates again? His lines are just really not quite there, and he's invalidating, well, technically he's impeding the McLaren as well. Why is he going to the middle? That just isn't necessary. I'm sorry, I can't sugarcoat that. That just isn't necessary. You don't really need to drive that erratically in qualifying, as well. One of the McLarens there, that's Kindle Zero. Horrible week for him in Spa. Had contact with Gabri Twins and has had to let Pinolo through again, and I feel sorry for Kindle right now. That is not really a situation you want to be in as a driver. But Kindle Zero, the only non-finisher thanks to a crash after contact with Gabri Twins. Now, no penalty came the way of the Aston Martin driver, so he got away with it, but is not with us tonight. It's Gianni in that seat for tonight, as now Kindle Zero is now up and away for his flyer, but already has someone in the way. And who is that? It's Francesco. Oh no, double bad luck for Kindle Zero. Not only has he had to deal with Pinolo, and now he's going to go side by side, and there's contact in qualifying, and he's underway. Luckily he's ghosted, so the Red Bull of, is that Gatos there? Who was that actually? That's Chirolo, beg your pardon. Apologies to Chirolo there. But yeah, no, had to come into that, and that is not something that should be happening in qualifying, as Stee up into 5th place there. That's actually a really good time from the Kick Sauber there. Of course, qualified 9th last week in Spa, so that might be where he is. But, oh, goodness me, Kindle Zero must be struggling at the moment. It has a 143 on the board. That's not representative. But, yeah, no, I think Pinolo was partially to blame there as well. Bit of erratic driving from the Kick Sauber driver. And a lot of work to do there before he can really get back underway there. So, keeping an eye on things as of right now. One of the drivers of last week, Captain Foxy, currently on an outlap, qualified 11th, but got it all the way into 2nd place. As soon as those wet conditions happened, he was on a different planet. Never mind a different country. He was just on fire. Now, due to having 6 seconds in post-race penalties, he was not able to keep the win. That, in the end, went to a Pam, who is with us tonight, currently in 4th place, 3/10 away from John Liu, as there's somebody else who set a time. I think that was Jackie there. No, it was Spindler. That was up into 3rd place there. He's just come off the line. No, he hasn't. So, somebody has set a time somewhere. I just can't tell you who it is at the moment. Let's see who else is yet to set a time as well. Scanbro as well. Scanbro not really having the best of evenings last week either. Hoping for major improvements. I think he had over 20 seconds in post-race penalties for track limit violations. He's in 13th right now, but nearly 3 seconds away from the top time there. So clearly still work to do with the Mercedes driver, and well, for the other Mercedes as well. Not too far off his teammate, but just as off the pace as him. Looking at Ninja now, has been one of those ones which I've been keeping my eye on, despite qualifying. Well, he's qualified 14th last week, and now he's actually making significant improvements. Currently up into 10th place there, and looking to try and improve, because he only was able to get a 14th place qualifying, as well as a 14th place finish in the race. Let's see what he can do tonight. At the moment, 10th place in qualifying. Coming off a flyer right now, he's up into 9th place, and that is a nearly half-second improvement, and that is another thing I've just got to say as well. That delta in the top right-hand side of your screen is only a comparison to the driver's personal best, not the overall session best. So the only time that doesn't really apply is to the driver you're looking at right now, John Liu. Currently on a flyer and has gone faster than his personal best, which is the top time as of right now. And Umbi is right there as well. Let's have a look at Umbi's results as well. What did he do last week? He qualified 13th, so a major improvement from the Alpine driver, finally becoming a bit of an even effort there at the French team. So Umbi, very good job from him so far. Can he keep this up in the race? Will be interesting to find out, but let's keep an eye on our current pole sitter, John Liu, as Foxy is also just coming round the final bend as well, just up ahead. As that is 6th place for Captain Foxy, but for John Liu, that is nearly 0.4 of a second improvement. The first driver to break into the 127s, and that is quite a banker set there by the Alpine driver. John Liu on top yet again in qualifying for the 2nd week in a row. Can anybody match that? Of course, we've just seen Captain Foxy set a time, and he's already looking more promising as well. He qualified 11th last week, so 6th place. A really nice game there for the McLaren driver. Morito as well, we've already talked about him. Currently sits in 9th place, 129.2 for the Haas driver. Now, of course, the Haas did take away 5 points from the last race, but they are the lowest scoring team so far. Of course, Sauber, Racing Bulls and Mercedes still waiting for points. Now, here's where it gets a bit interesting with this league, because it's only the top 8 that score the points here. Let's just see what Morito can do before I go into that. From 9th place, and he stays there. It's only a personal best improvement, so that means he goes nowhere. Couldn't match the times of any of the drivers in front, so that is where he will remain for the time being. But let's have a look at his teammate, who's also just round the final corner, a Ferrari driver ahead. That will be either Jackie starting a flying lap or Steve Ronaldo doing the exact same as Vomano. And it's currently across the line up to 10th place, so just under 0.4 away from his teammate there. And, well, the Haas is currently locking out 10th and 9th. But moving on to the Tifosi team, of course, home team for a lot of these drivers. TF1, an Italian-based esports league. And it looks like Jackie is abandoning that lap 1.6 seconds away. And in fact, he might have actually broken into the top 10 there. And that's why he's 1.6 seconds down. Does seem like he's just come off a lap. In fact, no, he was on a flyer there, so must have had a mistake going through turns 1, 2, and 3. Because turn 4, well, despite looking wide, you can usually recover the momentum if you take the corner correctly, going wide enough. But evidently, he did not feel it was worth the risk. Francesco having a bit of drama in the early part of the session. Is now trying to get a lap on the board. Of course, had contact with Kindle Zero. Kindle Zero still yet to set a representative time. In fact, he's just going through Sector 3 now. We'll keep an eye on the 18th place driver, but more importantly, Francesco needs to get a time out of this if he's looking to improve. Francesco, remember, 16th last week, but 11th place in the race, which thanks to a penalty and 2 reserve drivers, that singular point as Kindle Zero to the top of the timing boards there, 127.6. Was one of the ones in contention for the win, but after contact with an Aston Martin, so looks like things are beginning to repeat themselves for Kindle Zero. Now at the top of the boards, here we go, the redemption of Kindle Zero from 0 to week 1, and then hero to week 2. Kindle Zero is flying in the British-based McLaren, and now Francesco to the line, but this is not going to really break the top 15. Well, it is the 15th place, but I don't think he'll be happy with that. That's only 1 place above his improvement so far. And Pinolo, I don't want to jinx anybody, but he is currently not set a time, and there's 3 minutes to go, and we've seen some of the early impressions Pinolo has set. He does drive a little erratically for my comfort. Spindler here having a very good qualifying himself from 8th place to 4th place, but I think he's just come off a flying lap, so that is an impressive time from the other Williams driver. So it looks like the Williams and the Alpines are going to be the ones fighting, but you know, if Captain Foxy can get up there, remember 2nd place for the McLaren last week, and what would have been for McLaren if Kindle Zero could have got to the last lap and to the line. It could have been great points for them, but of course that team currently with 12 points, thanks to Captain Foxy's finish, and of course running that really nice chrome livery there, throwback to the days of, I think it was around 2007, 2008 when they used to run that, and I think he knows he's on the broadcast. He weaves left, he weaves right. I know that he does watch these broadcasts in the background, so very nice to see him acknowledge when he is on screen there. Bit of wall breaking, bit of 4th wall breaking for you, chat. Di Ronaldo, well, started a flying lap, but invalidates it rather quickly. This has been a problem for the Ferrari driver across the last 3 rounds. Well, I say last 2 rounds, beg your pardon. Pre-season, bit of a problem for him in qualifying because he just doesn't quite seem to know where the track limits are. And that's obviously, I do find that the game does punish you rather harshly for going across the white line rather aggressively. It doesn't even seem to consider you slowing down all that well either. I know in certain sims that are on the PC that they can calculate that just that little bit better. But unfortunately, when it comes to F1, I do have to sympathize with the drivers as he is impeded by a Racing Bulls driver. I think that is John-Lou Alex. So he is, well, that's an outlap. And of course, Steve Ronaldo had his invalidated. I don't think that's going to go any further than being on track. Well, the winner from last week had to settle. Let's see what his place was last week. Had to settle for 3rd place in qualifying, but by none the means that meant he was out of the race with 1 minute to go. This will be his final flying lap. So any drivers that need to complete their flying lap now, it has to be now. John Liu in the Racing Bulls just goes across the line now. Rito and Vomano will be one of the last as there's somebody off in the background there taking a ridiculous amount of track. That will be the other Williams. That is Spindler there. Dirty Air won't have affected him from that far back, so don't quite know what happened to him as we weren't spectating him at the time. But his teammate Pam to the line. That's pole position for now. It's not over yet. John Liu has just started his final flying lap as well, but there are drivers coming across the line in a few moments. Captain Foxy will be one of the first. Here we go. What can Foxy do? 4th place for the McLaren, but that might not stay as is. Wait and see. We have got an Aston Martin to the line. That is Francesco. He needs to try and start. No, he's on a final flyer. Beg your pardon. He's got an improvement of nearly 3/10 through Sector 2, but he's not going to carry it through Sector 3. Evidently had a moment we didn't see. Who is first across the line? That's Scanbro there. 16th place he'll have to settle for. Timer is now done as Kai has to settle for 13th for Kick Sauber there. Pinolo. Oh, goodness me. Didn't calculate his pit lane exit correctly and doesn't set a time in qualifying. He will start 20th no matter what, unless if we have a disqualification. Umbi and Jackie up into 4th and 5th though. But what I'm really looking at is John Liu, as there's a Ferrari to the line as well. Steve Ronaldo, has he been able to set a time? Nope. He is going to the pits there. So the other Racing Bulls, John Liu Alex, has just got up into 18th there, is now no longer in 19th for him. But we need to keep an eye on the Alpine driver. But has there been a moment? Has there been a moment there? Has there been a moment of impeding for the Alpine? Yes, there has been. Oh, goodness me. And I think the Williams behind has had something to do. That was a Pam. The pole sitter might be in trouble here. To the treehouse. He must go. E-I-E-I-O. And I think that might be a bit of a penalty coming the way of the Williams post-race there. But then again, I might also be assuming incorrectly. Let's not go and jump to any sort of conclusions, even though I've just gone and made a big show out of that. I do apologise to Pam. As now Marito goes up into ninth. What about his teammate? Unable to improve. Scanbro, we've already seen come across the line. He has got no further improvement. So it is a Pam, Kindle Zero, and John Liu in your top 3. I'll go through the rest of the results in just a second once we see them come up on the screen. But Pam continuing or trying to continue his good form from last week, got the win on a technicality, 6-second penalties, which are by the set in the rules, you are not allowed to have those removed post-race. So any times you get in the game, you will not be removed by the stewards. They are upheld. But now, your official qualifying results are Pam first, Kindle Zero second, John Liu in third, then 4th and 5th is Jackie and Umbi, with 6th to 10th being Captain Foxy, Spindler, Steve, Marito, Gianni, then followed by 11th to 15th is Vomano, Ninja, Kai, Guitars, and Francesco, with 16th to 20th being Scambro, Steve Ronaldo, Gian Luke, Alex, Chirolo, and the only driver not to set a time in the session, Pinolo, 19. I wish I could read Italian. I'm really sorry. I know that this is... I'm an English commentator, unfortunately. But I do love to see a lot of people down in the chat there. I really do hope you are having a good evening. If you can understand me at all. I do not know any Italian at all. But, like, no, it's great to see everybody in chat here, enjoying the evening. At least I hope you're enjoying the evening. Of course, you do have our sponsors there in the bottom left-hand side. Unfortunately, I have to make it that small because I don't want it to impede on any data that we have. I'll try and kind of work that out more smoothly within the rigs. But just to let you know, in case you have just joined us for the first time, our sponsors here are Gled Creazione, Meta Incisione, and Rocha Liccardo. Thank you to those three for sponsoring TF1 eSports, allowing us to do this from week to week. Your generosity is highly appreciated. Thank you very much. But now, of course, just to run through the point system, which I promised I was going to do, but it's only the top 8 that score points like this. So it goes from first place being 16 points, second place being 12 points, third place being 8 points, fourth place is 6 points, and then fifth place is 5 points, with sixth place being 3 points, seventh place is 2 points, and then eighth place scoring you a singular point. You can actually kind of attest that as a throwback to the old point scoring system, and I think that was last active in 2006. Of course, it wasn't exactly as TF1 have done it. They've obviously done their own creative interpretation on that point score, on that system, but either way, it is akin to that kind of system way back when. Of course, now it is the top 10 that score points, and it is a lot higher. But at the moment, we're just waiting for everybody to get ready, and this is where we got to talk about things here, because a pit stop strategy is going to be very interesting. We are under the night of the desert, but that doesn't mean it won't be hot by any means of the stretch. I would say that we could be on... Safely, you want to be on a one-stop here if you want to be on your best race strategy, but at the same time, if you're on the medium tyre or the soft tyres, they will degrade so fast, and Pam learnt that back in... Oh, where was it? Back in Silverstone, when it was the preseason, and I bet he just kind of used that as a Fernando... It's Fernando Alonso. Okay, even that threw me through a loop for a bit. But hello, Fernando Alonso. Okay, I hope I've said that correctly, my guy. I do apologize if I haven't. But there you go. So, I think that what would be the safest bet to a one stop. But of course, if we do have a safety car late on, I do think we'll be seeing the soft tires, but only in those circumstances. But then if there's a safety car in the middle, you're just going to see something... You're just going to see something different. That will be the only aberration. If we have a couple of safety cars, not unlikely, and that's no diss towards any of the drivers. I'm just saying these things do happen in racing, and it is more than likely we will see a safety car at some point. We saw one in Spa last week, thanks to contact with Gabri Twins and Kindle Zero. Of course, they went down the start-finish straight on lap 15, and unfortunately, Gabri, able to continue on, Kindle Zero, due to a dislodged front right wheel, was not able to continue. So Kindle Zero really trying to bring things back, and well, is starting will be starting within the top 5. His teammate Foxy not too far behind though. So McLaren, well, 3 teams there currently vying for the top of the table at the moment. You've got the Williams qualifying high up, you've got the Alpines qualifying high up, you've also got the Alpine, and you've got the McLarens as well, qualifying high up. So there's a lot of team strategy here, and that's what I am really looking forward to the most. I'm looking forward to see how the team strategies play out, but we're not going to have time. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. It's going Bahrain, no delay on the start at all, as now we see a great start there from Kindle Zero. He's going to go side by side with a Pam into turn 1. There's a lot of hassle and hurrying there in the background, but there's contact between a McLaren and a Ferrari. Jackie looking like he's trying to visit his alien overlords there. That'll cause a bit of problem to Foxy, but what a start from the McLarens, and King Sauber and a Ferrari also off the track. That is Jackie there, struggling with his internet connection. It's 3 wide into turn 4. There's a Racing Bulls breaking very late. The Ferrari is round at turn 4. That is a disaster for the Tifosi team, as Steve Ronaldo hasn't really made any positions either. But for the McLarens, what a start, as there's an Alpine trying to get past John Liu, having a not so great start, down 2 positions. We've seen it. Well, we're seeing the soft tyre. Well, I guess I'm wrong then. As Gianni... Oh, and there's more contact! More contact! This is a disastrous first lap for certain drivers. That was an Aston Martin, and that was Ninja going side by side into what is turn 10, and that was only going to be one result there with no front wing end plate has gone flying. What is going on in Bahrain? The sands of time have turned into the sands of blood, and it is a wreckfest here in TF1. And now 16 places, there's more pushing and shoving, and there's more internet connection issues. There is all sorts of action happening up and down the field as Foxy now has cornered Pam, trying to redeem himself from last week. Can Foxy make a move? I'm sure that is coming in the next few moments here. But now, as there's more battling in the background here, and that is the Racing Bulls. John Lou Alex, 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane there. And that is going to be disaster as now Francesco going into turn 1 has taken, oh my goodness me, more contact. There is so much contact happening. Fomano has a moment on the exit of turn 2. Now going through turn 3, Captain Foxy unable to make it work. But those two have left the pack behind. And now there's more contact happening here. The sister teams, Haas using a Ferrari engine. Remember, they might just want to keep their working relations in check as he gets a 3-second penalty for track limit violations there. Does Fomano, and that is a certified Bahrain T4 moment. But there's all sorts of action. There's a Mercedes round as well. Kai pointing in the wrong direction on the exit of turn 8. And that has gone all sorts of wrong. And that is now really having to rely on a safety car to bring things into equation, which, looking at these early laps, could be a possibility. I'm going to rate this very high, but let's have a look at some of the tyre strategies drivers have decided while we have a bit of calm before a storm. And at the moment, it is looking like actually 4 drivers taking the soft tyre. 2, 4, 6, 8 going on to the hard tyre, and the rest, in fact, sorry, make that 9 on the hard tyre. Foxy with the fastest lap of the race, and he might have the lead of it, but John Lou behind is faster than both of them. Foxy to the outside into turn 1. He will try the over-under, and I think that is going to work, you know, as he now has to slot him behind again, but now the Williams gives him the space on the exit. Foxy with DRS should get that done. That shouldn't be a problem, but the Williams fights back. But Lucas says, no thank you, and he cuts him off as he goes up into turn 4. But now his teammate trying to make a move down, going down there as well, as now Scambro and Francesco are fighting as well. For 10th there, that has been swapping and swapping, and the Racing Bulls again, and he's tried a late manoeuvre into turn 4 again. It didn't work last time, and it hasn't worked again. That is just getting silly from Ninja. Just got to meet your braking points earlier. I wonder if maybe the slipstream and the DRS have got something to do with his overspeed. Don't forget the ERS as well, which is currently being deployed by the Racing Bulls driver. So try and remember that as well. Maybe he's just suffering, maybe he's just not used to these racing conditions. As now Jackie is the next driver to get a 3-second penalty for track limit violations, and Scambro is maybe punching above his weight a little bit. But he's giving us a show all the same. As now Jackie is going to try and take advantage of that. Here we go, nearly 3 wide going into that. Goodness me, what on earth where was the Ferrari going to go in all of that? He might have scared the 2 drivers in front for a bit. There is going to be a swap for the lead, I do think, as Foxy starts lap 4 out of 29. But now Jackie trying to look for room down the inside, and Ninja late on the brakes again. What is he doing there? Ninja just needs to calm down, I would say. But now we're going to see an entertaining fight here, as there is also a swap for 4. But these 3, oh my God. There is a spin after contact. The Ferrari is round. The Racing Bulls continues on, and the Mercedes, who was involved in that, has a missing front wing end plate. As now Pinolo gets a penalty. There are penalties flying all over the place here, as now there is an, oh my goodness me, and now there's a Haas at the Ferrari round. The sister teams have now come together, and there's been a major accident there, and that is honestly gonna go. There's gonna be a lot of bad blood after this, and we're only on lap 4, remember. Come on, let's just try and keep it calm. Let's try and have some sort of race against Kindle Zero with DRS here, the top 5. Oh, well, and then as soon as I say that, the top 5, one of the top 5 make contact. Kindle Zero pushing the Alpine through the corner. And that was of turn 11 as Foxy gets a 3-second penalty for track limit violations. Oh, and that was on the exit of that very turn actually we are observing right now. Kindle Zero, his teammate, will now have to try and see if he can bring any pressure to a Pam. But remember, Foxy and a Pam are currently involved in a championship fight as John Lu is also catching up. John Lu could have been on for a good result, but had to settle for 4th place last time as now a Pam makes his move for the lead of the race. But Foxy has fought that back as now we see his teammate finish that move. But I think a Pam went a bit deep into turn 1. Maybe there might have been contact. I don't think there was, though. No driver seems to have significantly lost out. And in fact, yeah, you can see Foxy had DRS, so I think it was a mistake under a Pam's own momentum. And that is bad news as now we are seeing positional improvements. As now, here we go. Let's see more fighting down here in the bottom of the field. As I think Pinolo has had a moment. Yes, he's currently wide at turn 1. Oh my goodness me! Chirolo giving no room to the Ferrari driver. And that was Steve Ronaldo. But Steve Ronaldo is still there. He has not given up the fight. His teammate has pitted though. And that might have been just for damage repairs. And now Foxy has a chance as John Lu has disconnected and there's a Mercedes in the wall. No, there isn't, just in the gravel, but they continue on, so no intervention required from race control. And now we will continue racing. Kindle Zero, we saw last lap, make his way past the Alpine that is behind him. But this lap now, he's got the other one. And let's see what Kindle can do. Of course, John Lu has disconnected just a couple of moments ago. So now it is going to be surely a one-and-done overtake here for the McLaren driver. Kindle Zero gets that final corner set up perfectly as John Lu has just come back. Here we go, so maybe John Lu now could be on for a fight as a Pam now is very much too far ahead. And now, there you go, Kindle Zero does get that move done. And, well, the Alpine teammate won't be too far behind. Might be even willing to give his teammate just a bit of help there as they get back underway. But I think John Lu now has lost the race win, especially on those soft tyres. He's losing time. Oh, but goodness me, there's more contact between the Alpine and the McLaren. Umbi and Kindle Zero fighting like it's the last lap for the championship in the final round. No expense being spared here. And, well, it has certainly been a lot of contact. You'd be forgiven for thinking this was Wreckfest rather than F125, but I promise you, these are F1 cars. They are not built for contact, and they are not built for... They're not built for going to war with one another, but yet that's what we're seeing tonight. Drivers testing the durability of their cars. It is certainly entertaining in one way or another, but maybe not the spectacle TF1 wants. But maybe we could finally just go through some analysis at this hopefully quiet point of the race, and we are going to probably just try and see what's going on here. So, well, of course, we know what's happened to John Lu. As he has lost out due to being disconnected, of course, on those soft tyres. So I think he's lost out massively. Needs to rely on an impressive undercut. He is on a similar strategy to Foxy in front. And maybe he could just use that DRS from these two in front to try and bring himself back into the equation here, as now Kindle Zero is surely going to lose positions, and nearly with a late move to the inside there. As, oh my goodness me, that is a very late dive from John Lu, and I think he went across the curb there, was very lucky not to make contact with anybody, and now a bit of touching wheels there from the Alpine and the McLaren, as now the Alpine gets a good exit off of turn 3 and into turn 4. That is rather academic. He's got that move done, but Kindle Zero fights back. And now side by side into turn 5, now through 6, a bit more contact, and the Alpine pushes the McLaren through the corner. He did do that similarly at turn 11 a few laps ago. All sorts of overtaking happening. A Ferrari sending out a yellow flag. That is Steve Ronaldo getting it wrong at the exit of turn 3. And, well, that was certainly a bit of a scare for the drivers. But nothing too much there. At the moment, we are currently trying to find a bit of calm in the storm here. Of course, I was trying to say that a lot of drivers did surprise us in qualifying, especially Spindler. As there's a lot of chatting going on in Italian, but of course that is to be expected in an Italian league. And at the moment, Captain Foxy leading the way, but remember, needs to serve a 3-second penalty post-race. If a Pam falls under the same situation as well, that means that race would become even, but then Kindle Zero would be brought right back into this as now Foxy into the pits. Now, let's have a look at John Liu. Not going to follow the same way, so he's going to rely on the overcut, which means he would want the fresher tyres later on in the stint, as now Kindle Zero again goes defensive on the Alpine, and into turn 1 that they go, and now the Alpine with the better exit, but who has the traction at the corner? As all going to be contact between the two again, and pushed off the road is Kindle Zero as John Liu in the background trying to take advantage of it. Bit of a look up there from the McLaren, and a bit of a moment on the exit. But it's all sorted itself out for the time being. And well, there's a lot of battles happening up and down the field as Foxy now finds himself in 10th place and maybe on for an overtake here. He is on the fresh medium tyres, so he's probably going for a soft, medium, hard strategy there. So it is a 2-stop for the McLaren driver. And we'll see if that works out for him. That's not necessarily the fastest, but if a safety car is to come out now as Foxy there, didn't anticipate Francesco braking so early, gets the car stopped in time, makes the move, bit of contact between the two, but I don't think that was too unfair, to be honest with you. That was clean, all things considered. And now on the way, as now Francesco will have DRS, but I don't think he'll be able to do anything with it. Foxy on those fresher tyres will be comfortably ahead of the Aston Martin, and yeah, just going through turn 11 now. That is all said and done for the German-Italian driver. His next target is now Ninja, who hasn't yet made a pit stop. Now, the aberration here is that Steve's made a stop, Jackie's made a stop, but of course was forced into making it, as now John Liu into the pits. So now we are looking towards Captain Foxy, who was a direct competitor, and well, with the undercut that he's going for, Foxy should be comfortably ahead of the Alpine by the time he's coming out there. And yeah, no, so Foxy already is side by side with the RB, but also goes past the Alpine in the pits, and that is a slam dunk move from the McLaren. And in the background as well, Kindle Zero, well, in the foreground, beg your pardon, Kindle Zero also overtaken for second place. And also now there's more overtakes happening as Steve has just made a move round the outside of turn 1, it would seem, and has got past not one, but 2 Red Bulls. Gatos and Tirolo have been overtaken by the Kicksauber, and now Steve is way off down the road. His teammate 26 seconds behind in 20th place there. Pinolo not showing the same pace as his faster teammate as of right now. So Pinolo, like we saw in the preseason, was heavily off the pace. And at the moment, so that's one thing the Kicksaubers will have to look into if Pinolo decides to stay racing throughout the rest of the season. More overtakes happening in the background. We've just had John Liu Alex overtake Scanbro for 18th place. Scanbro did actually have a nice start there. Got all the way up to 10th place, but since the pit stop, and he was on the soft tyres as well, he has dropped back down to 19th place. And now he's trying to make a move past the Racing Bulls. Looks left, looks right. No real room given from John Liu, considering he was there, and it wasn't unfair, as there's more overtaking, but that's a Pam into the pits there, as goodness me, the Mercedes pushes the Red Bull through the corners of turn 10. And Scambro is just desperate to get underway as Captain Foxy sets the fastest lap of the race. We're seeing a change for the lead as well in all of that chaos as Umbi makes a move on Kindle Zero. Of course, these two yet to make a stop, and there might not be for some time. Gianni in there as well, up into third, but of course, remember, all on a technicality, unless if a safety car came out, so that's all fun. Hopefully a thought that they won't have to think about for their own sakes. Marito next with a 3-second penalty for track limit violations there. Lap 10 out of 29, we have seen, well, let's just have a look at the penalty totals so far. Most on 3 seconds, but a couple on 9 seconds, one on 10 seconds for speeding in the pit lane or cutting a corner, as Scanbro gets another penalty. So his total is technically up to 6 seconds in track limits, as I think there's been a pit stop made by the other Mercedes driver, Kai there, getting a stop done, as then Scambro is right on the back of the Racing Bulls here, just cutting back to this for a brief few moments, as a Pam now is going to start making moves. He's just caught up to Ninja, so he should be at the moment. In fact, yeah, let's cut back to this now, because he's just going to make a move, but the Racing Bulls will fight that back round the outside, but nowhere to go. Williams now up into 7th place, as now, well, we cut back to the battle for what is 17th place between John Llewellyn and Scanbro. And Scanbro there is going to try what he did last lap, but I don't think he was really alongside enough there, and he does back out of the move. But I think he's trying to scare the Red Bull more than anything. Lead change, by the way. Kindle Zero back into the lead of the race through turn 1. And oh, goodness me, contact between the Mercedes and the Racing Bull. Scanbro just needs to watch it here. He might come under some scrutiny from the stewards post-race if that goes that far. Umbi and Kindle Zero are fighting for the lead, so let's see how this goes out as Kindle Zero has a moment on the exit of turn 4, but that is Umbi back to the lead of the race after just losing it for a brief few moments. These two are having a good fight at the front, and this is amazing stuff here from these two. But you got to watch out as well. Captain Foxy is going to be right in the driving seat once those two ahead pit. Pam is also 6.7 seconds behind. Well, he is on the harder tyre, but Foxy will have to stop again, and I just wonder if he'll go onto the medium tyres. As yet, there's been a swap again, but that is because John Llewellyn has come into the pit lane, so that's all said and done. But now let's have a look back at this leading battle. Francesco and Steve are also going to probably do battle, but Steve on the fresher tyres there, so I think that's all going to kind of check out. And yeah, Francesco already losing out, but John Liu is also caught up to the Aston Martin in 10th. We'll look at that in just a few moments' time, as they're just going through turn 11 now. So might be a move just yet, but just looking at Kindle Zero, he's prepping for a move. Don't think he's going to be able to check out due to the DRS advantage, and now John Llewellyn out of the pits. I think he had to replace the front wing, and so loses out. But there you go, Kindle Zero to the lead as Gianni now pits in. But let's have a look at John Liu, as he didn't even need the DRS zone there. He just needed to go side by side with the Aston into the final turn, but this will give the Aston the DRS, remember. So this might leave the Alpine vulnerable, but then again, did he get past? No, he got past before the DRS, and that means the Aston Martin will happily go back through, and the Alpine will have to wait for another opportunity. Should be coming up sooner rather than later, and the Aston Martin goes very wide compared to the Alpine. Alpine should have the better exit out of the corner, and well, the Aston Martin doesn't really fight that too hard. I can't really blame him, all things considered. Up to 7th place goes John Liu in the Alpine. And, oh, is the Aston going to fight back here as they're going to go side by side again? This battle is not over just yet. A bit of contact between the two, but John Liu stating his authority on 7th place, and that move is all said and done. Going back and forth, there's always something happening on track. Even the leaders are close together again. They are approaching Pinolo there. John Llewellyn, even, beg your pardon, has been lapped already. They are just catching up to Pinolo right now, who's just going through the final corner. He will begin his lap 12. Well, his lap 12 out of 29, but then the leaders will begin lap 13. So he will be lapped, all things considered. And so they are just coming to the start-finish line now. In fact, let's have a look at this. Umbi, remember, with penalties to serve post-race, as Umbi now takes the lead. He's got 6 seconds in track limits penalties, and Kindle Zero has nothing at all. So the nearest fight to him is the McLaren. Never mind. Kindle Zero with a 3-second penalty, and that brings Foxy right back into the equation. But if a Pam can make this strategy work, which is a bit of an aberration compared to the few in front of him, this might also work out nicely for the Williams driver. At the moment, Umbi now is currently trying to fend off the McLaren as now Chirolo comes into the pits, but also there is a bit of battling here. The two Ferrari sister teams have made contact already. Of course, Haas using a Ferrari engine. And now, well, they've already made contact with one another, as I said already. And now DRS open for what is Jackie, who was looking so promising at the moment. And is currently trying to overtake there. But guess who's on the fresher tyres? That is the Haas driver. So that's why he's able to keep up with all of this. And, well, round the outside at what is turn number 6 there. Holds on to the position for now, but Jackie not giving that up by any means of the stretch. But, of course, he was the Ferrari in 4th place and 9 seconds post-race in penalties. And, well, the Ferrari driver not having the best of evenings. His first one, as he wasn't here with us last week, as now the Aston Martins are swapping as Gianni goes through, of course, on those fresher tyres by 11 laps, hard tyres. So Francesco going long. He's probably trying to do the one-stop. Francesco up 6 positions as of right now, so he's having a good race, all things considered. As now, someone's in the pit lane. There is somebody coming into the pits. That is Spindler from 3rd. as now Foxy will benefit from the DRS from Spindler, as when they got to the detection point, Spindler was within a 1 second gap to the McLaren. As Gianni now with a 3 second penalty for track limit violations. John Liu makes his way past while Spindler is in the pit lane, and we'll see how this all goes on. I don't think John Liu can go to the end. I don't think anyone can on their tyres. A PAM is going to be the closest call on the track here, but Foxy just needs to watch his track limits penalties in all reality and just make sure he doesn't really get into any further trouble, because 6 seconds, and that brings a PAM right back into the picture. We're looking at a similar circumstance to last week. Humby still trying to make a move here for the lead of the race here. These two are swapping. I think they're just trying to make sure they are comfortable when it comes to Captain Foxy behind, and I think they're just going to battle it out, these two. But of course, Kindle Zero only getting his first penalties a few moments ago. And, well, at the moment is just trying to hold on to the lead of the race and see if he can just hang on to things as of right now. Spindler, as he's just come out of the pits, is now beginning to make a move. He's just got past Francesco there for what is 8th place there. Francesco gives the room. Looked a bit panicky as the Williams got past. The Spindler going very wide there through turn 11. But matters does it not. He's now through as Scarborough gets another 3 second penalty for track limit violations. That's his total up to 19 seconds. So, Scarborough with a lot of work to do, but Pinolo with a lot of pace work to do. He's kept it between the white lines, which of course is an achievement in its own right. Bit of a swap for the lead going on as well, as now he's gonna try the over-under going through, but there's a lapped vehicle in front. Is he ghosted? Yes, he is. He's not transparent, he is hollow. Hollow, okay? Of course, for those of the few that will know what happened last week in chat, he is hollow. Sorry. No, even that's not correct. God damn it. Anyway, Hero Francesco getting a 3 second penalty for track limit violations, and he is currently going to serve that post-race. But anyway, at the moment, we are currently watching Steven Aldo, and the leaders are just swapping, but despite all that swapping, Captain Foxy is currently trying to catch up. But anyway, as of right now. But yeah, no, a very disappointing race for the Tifosi fans here. And of course, with TF1 being an Italian-based league, Tifosi with a lot of work to do, of course. Coming out last week, the Ferrari coming out with 9 points between them. And at the moment, here we go, as... Yeah, no, they have caught right up to the back of, and that is Hero Francesco, who was just overtaken a few moments ago. Kindle Zero into the pit lane, by the way, for their for their only stop of the race. Looks like the one stopper is the one Kindle Zero is going to move on to. Of course, Foxy was catching, but now that tyre advantage will be eradicated thanks to that. Pam also makes his way past, and this could be a very tense fight indeed. There's not a lot separating. There's two Ferraris, one Haas and one Aston Martin. I think Francesco is actually going to peel off into the pit lane, so we are going to see a Haas and a Ferrari. Both have DRS, including the one in the background there of your frame. The Ferrari trying his best to maybe make a move into turn one, but not close enough is Jackie Brown. Remember, compared to Burrito, needs a 6 second buffer. Remember, the Ferrari needs a 6 second buffer to the Haas because of their penalties. 9 seconds compared to Burrito's 3 seconds. Steve Ronaldo with no penalties at all. Now, I just think Steve Ronaldo still has some pace to give here. I think he is faster than most of the field, but he's just very unlucky with his qualifying, as Pinolo gets a 3 second penalty for track limit violations. But I do think Ronaldo R9 here has more to give, and he just needs to kind of try and put his qualifying together, and then I believe the race will just naturally come to him. Now, don't get me wrong, this has been an absolutely chaotic race compared to last week. Spa didn't have this much Wreckfest entertainment, but regardless, I think Ronaldo still just needs to figure out what's going on in qualifying and then try and see if he can make an improvement from there. Just looking at Ronaldo's qualifying from last week, he was in 7th place there and got 6th place. So we know he's got we know he can fight up there. but at the moment, it's just not coming together as fluently as he would like. As now Foxy into the pits with Umbi also into the pits, but now we have a battle here for what could be very tense as A.S.D is forced off the track by John Liu. And now, Kid0 will take advantage of that momentum he will have gained from the Kick Sauber going wide there. As now he's got to defend, the Kick Sauber somehow able to keep up. And that could have been disastrous if the Kick Sauber did any sort of unpredictable movement. But luckily for the Kick Sauber, that is all said and done. And yes, as we predicted, Foxy onto the hard tyres. And he is now going to go to the end on that. 13 laps to go as of right now. 12 at the line. And we will soon see if Foxy can make that work. Well, he should be able to rather easily, considering it's on the hard time. But now Kid0 with the over-under on the Alpine. Beautifully done through turn 10. What a move from the McLaren. Apparently it is 9.8 seconds down the road. But Kid0, if he is able to catch up, needs a 3-second buffer as now Umbi and Steed go battling. Umbi just off of his pit stop. And, well, with 9 lap fresher tyres than the Alpine. And at the moment now, John Liu is about to catch up to Kid0 as well. Well, no, John Liu's just been overtaken by Kid0, apologies. So that means Kid0 will check out from the Alpine at some point, unless if John Liu can keep up within the DRS detection point. Now, did he do that? You'll see the front rear wing open. And yes, John Liu just did enough. But can he keep the DRS into the next turn? Yes, he can. He's actually gaining at quite a rate of knots there. It's the Alpine to the McLaren, so that means he'll have DRS again. This might not be easy he does it for the McLaren if things continue as they are. And, well, both the Alpines might start fighting with one another. No team orders here in TF1eSports, as we've seen already. And, oh, goodness me, the Alpine nearly goes into the back of his teammate. What's rule 1 of motorsport? I'll tell you for free. Don't make contact with your teammate. As Steve Ronaldo into the pits for his last stop. His one and only stop, beg your pardon. He's got onto the medium tyres till the end of the race, so he's gone long on those hards. And if he'd have just qualified a bit higher up, he could be one of the contenders for the win there. But Steve Ronaldo not having an evening to remember at the moment. Of course, qualified 17th and has very much not really been able to carve his way through the pack as now Umbi and John Liu begin to do some Alpine team fighting. As now Kid0, well, look at that. I've just kind of been keeping an eye on that lead gap. And that is now down to 8 seconds. So that's over a second caught up to a Pam. And with 6 laps fresher tyres and, of course, a soft tyre, Kid0 might just make this work. It's going to be incredibly close, but it should just about work. But Kid0 doesn't... Well, he's got to push hard. He's got to go hell for leather in the final few laps of this race. But also, got to remember... He's got to use the best of his tyres. He's just set a personal best on lap 19. So how long can he go on for? As now Steve into the pit lane for his second and final pit stop. Can't go to the end on those medium tyres. So it's been mostly a 2-stop strategy, bar a few others here and there. Bit of a moment getting into the pit lane. Looked like he just came to a stop all of a sudden as now Foxy is going to make a move on the Williams. As Foxy there did very well to actually get alongside him, considering he had DRS as well. Did the Williams, but didn't make a difference for Spindler. Despite the fact, actually, Foxy should be at a disadvantage, but his pace is so mega compared to the Williams as there's pit stop happening up and down the field. So that's why you're seeing a bunch of movement on the timing tower. As now, there we go, Francesco making a move, or Chirolo making a move on the Aston Martin, very wide there on the exit of turn 3. DRS opening for the Aston Martin. And into turn 4, no response there can be had, but here we go. Captain Foxy on Gianni, but yet one Aston Martin gets overtaken. What about the other? How long as Chirolo gets a 3-second penalty for challenge violations? There's been so much flashing up from virtual race control. The time has flown by. And we'll see what's going to happen here. But let's wait and see, because now Foxy is approaching the back of the Aston Martin. We'll hold off for now because he's going to have DRS down the start for this straight. They are going to begin lap 21. No, sorry, they won't begin lap 21. They will begin lap 20 out of 29. Foxy with the fastest lap on hard tyres, and that is as academic as you get. Foxy makes a move for 5th place, and now, well, there's, oh my goodness, people, the Aston Martin fights back! And that was a bit late on the brakes, bit of contact between the two, but I think Foxy will just shrug that off as I thought we were seeing a car go wide there. Will Foxy defend? Might have to consider it, as Francesco there says, oh, well, I thinks about it. But with Foxy there getting the better line through turn 4, he will hold off the Aston Martin and will keep 5th place. But remember, a 3-second penalty coming the way of Foxy post-race. Needs a 3-second buffer on John Liu. But John Liu also getting involved in this battle for what is the lead of the race there. But doesn't really have the freshest of tyres, as now Steve Ronaldo has made a move on another Aston Martin. So this is absolutely incredible stuff from the Ferrari of Steve Ronaldo, not giving up on anything right now. He's got to defend from the Aston Martin. As all goodness, make contact between the two. The Aston Martin goes very deep into the corner, but the Ferrari fights back and gets that done. But Steve Ronaldo finding himself involved in all sorts of battles, and that's usually what happens when you start from 17th place here. So, of course, as we said already, Steve Ronaldo work to do with his qualifying, and that's why he finds himself so far down. And to be honest, I do find that I do feel like he's a bit out of his depth down there. I think he deserves to be higher up in the field, but at the moment he just needs to try and put his qualifying together throughout the rest of the season. Jackie and Vomano is having a side-by-side battle yet again. The Haas and the Ferrari team have already made contact earlier in this Grand Prix. They don't want to repeat it, but they will have a repeat, and it's the Haas that spun round. And that is more disaster for Vomano. He looked like he was alongside there, to be honest with you. And it looks like just Jackie didn't really give him the room, as now Steve Ronaldo will say thank you very much. Or will there be more contact? There might be, but that was all so close. Steve Ronaldo did afford the room, as Ninja gets a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. This is absolute chaos here up and down the field. There's been all sorts of contact, and now the Haas looking for a bit of payback. He's going to go down the inside into turn 1. The Aston Martin just trying to find a line through the corner. In all of this, he's innocent in comparison, but Steve Ronaldo has 11th for now, but needs to get another place to get, well, needs to find 3 places for a singular point, although that might come his way depending on how penalties work out further up the field. I'm not sure this is going to be your ending result as soon as the race is finished, to be honest with you. With penalties surely going to be served out, I would be surprised if there weren't, considering the amount of carnage we have seen. And right now, victim to a penalty already. We are seeing Captain Foxy try and fight John Liu. Of course, John Liu with pole position last week, but wasn't able to convert it to a win. I think it's going to be a similar fate here, of course. Now, well, John Liu's going to try and fight back around down the inside. Surely not into turn 1 after you're that far back. Bomano as well has just made a move for 13th there, and that is, well, they are going through turn 11, so that would have been DRS zone 2. As you see it, and the Haas there, of course, starting to lose positions after contact with the Ferrari of Jackie. A couple of, well, just last lap, actually. So that is a 3-position loss in just 2 laps for the Haas driver. That is rather unfortunate now, but there you go. You've just seen Foxy make his way up into 4th place. Needs a 3-second buffer on John Liu, and I think he's going to do it, in all honesty. He's got the fresher tyres by 8 laps and already has a second over the Alpine driver as he goes into turn 10. Should have a better exit as well, in all reality. And I think that's all said and done. Tirolo into the pits again off of 9-lap medium tyres, so he will go to the soft tyres for the end for the last time in his stint, but 18 seconds worth of track limits penalties there for Tirolo. That is going to be a hefty penalty coming his way post-race. And just kind of trying to see... Yeah, John Liu has really fallen off here as a Pam has tried to make the one-stop work. But, of course, Kindle Zero, it's not enough to get past a Pam. He is going to have to try and also get a 3-second buffer on those medium tyres. They are sharing the same piece of track, as you can see right now. I don't know if Kindle Zero is going to have enough. He's got 7 laps at 4 seconds apiece. He needs 3 seconds to get within that DRS range, which of course is when the rear wing opens and you have the drag reduction system working in your favour. Higher top speed, of course, for the car benefiting from that. But of course, a Pam will be knowledgeable enough to fight that back. Remember, took the win last time out, and that wasn't based on luck, of course. Well, technically it was, considering Foxy had a 6-second track limits penalty go his way post-race, which of course you are not allowed to remove. And well, he is going to be trying to really get back into this, but Hang on a minute, I'm getting my drivers mixed up. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm making a point here. 3 seconds is what he needs to get ahead of a Pam. But at the moment now, I think he's got a bit of pace there on this lap. Yeah, the top 4 look to be about separated by 3.5 seconds. It's a rather even split, but let's have a look at this battle for 12th there, because this is just riled up again. Bomana, of course, will be seething in that cockpit after contact, well, with his sister team a couple of times this race. Has Francesco got the straight line speed to fight back, despite the Haas having DRS there? No, he doesn't, but he did look like he was right on the diffuser of the Haas in front of him, and nearly made something work there. But as I was saying before, yeah, Kindle Zero, well, no, a PAM won based on the fact that Captain Foxy had 6 seconds in post-race penalties thanks to track limit violations. As I've already said there, you cannot have those removed by the stewards post-race. They will be upheld. And Kindle Zero has got that gap down to underneath 3 seconds, 6 laps to go, 5 at the line. It is going to be very close because remember, he also needs time to get that 3-second buffer as Tirolo, with another 3-second penalty for track limit violations, is currently fighting with his teammate for what is 15th position. It doesn't really matter, even if he does get past. His time is of 21 seconds. He's not really going to do anything, so there's just really no point. In my honest opinion, maybe just go for another set of soft tyres and just try and go to the end, because at least you'll allow Kai past you. I'm not sure, to be honest with you. Tirolo's just not really had a good day in all retrospect and nearly makes contact with his teammate. Has to go off the track to try and avoid contact as well. That could have been rather unfortunate. Tirolo up by 1.5 seconds on his personal best. Maybe going to take fastest lap? I don't think he will. Let's go on board with the Red Bull. And yeah, his teammate just allows him through as Tirolo lifts off there. Interesting driving here, but the two teammates nearly colliding again into turn number, what is this? Sorry, turn number 15 there. And this is, I don't know, I think they're just trying to have a fight with one another. I guess it's something to talk about, but, hey, you know, just don't scare into one another into a mistakes, because you do have somebody right behind you. As they go, Tirolo now gets past Gatos, but Gatos fights that back through the corner. I think the Red Bulls are just having a little what we call a scrimmage here just between those two at the moment. But you know, you got to feel as we have a caution in sector 1 for one of the McLarens. Is it? What's happened there? We've got a caution. Oh, it's for a Mercedes. It's for Kai or Scambro slowing down. No, it's definitely not for Scambro. Scambro's just been lapped. So yeah, Kai was just slowing down to allow lap traffic through. And that would have been for Kindle Zero and a Pam equally. But a Pam under serious pressure now. 2.2 seconds. And how many track warnings does he have? We can't tell you from the commentary box. But the pressure will be on to try and keep Kindle Zero behind. Because remember, needs 3 seconds to try and buffer himself out to make sure he does not get a penalty and lose the win. It's going to be another close one. And it's going to be based on who has the fewest track limits penalties coming to the line. Captain Foxy doing everything in his power to catch up to Umbi behind, but he doesn't have to worry. He's within his 3-second window and will benefit from that once that penalty is applied at the end. As now, well, there we go again. Another battle for 12th place. I think A.S.D Martin had DRS this time, so these two having a bit of a battle. But it's not very genuine, unfortunately. 22 seconds between the two of them. Bermano will have this position. Sorry, no, it's Francesco that'll have this position regardless, so not really much of a fight here, I'm afraid. So we're kind of being denied a few battles due to track limit penalties, unfortunately. But regardless, that is just part of racing. But guess who is trying to get an overtake done? It is Foxy in 4th place here, has tried to make the 2-stop work, so he qualified in 6th place. He's up 2 positions, of course, has this podium guaranteed as long as he doesn't make another track limits mistake, because Umbi's serving 6 seconds, and also we'll just have to be careful of John Liu behind, who has not really had the best of evenings either. And there you go, Foxy just trying to find the better line through the corner. Kindle Zero got that gap to the lead down to 1.7 seconds, but I just don't... it's going to be very close if he has enough time. They're just approaching the next DRS zone right now. They're just going through turns 9 and 10 as we speak. 1.4 seconds. So yeah, Kindle Zero's not quite doing enough. Needs to really overtake as soon as they get to the start finish straight or the DRS zone afterwards, after turn number 3 technically. 1.2 seconds, but we're looking at Foxy as of right now, as now Hero Francesco into the pit lane for his second, well, is it his second stop? No, it's his second and final stop now So he might even give that position up to Romano if he can't make up the time there. And that might not have been his best move there. But then again, I can't be certain of his tyre life, and maybe he was losing more pace than it was worth. As now Foxy surely is going to gear up for a move here. This has been coming on for the last couple of laps now. And while he will have it sealed on penalties, he just wants it sealed on track. And who can blame him for that? DRS will open for the German/Italian driver. He will move up into third place. I don't know if he will fight this back too hard unless he wants Foxy to get another penalty for track limit violations. And goodness me, late on the brakes into turn 1. Mate goes into the side of Foxy there. And now might have scared Luca into a small mistake here, as now Luca forced to defend for third place. Foxy gets them, holds on for now, but looking very racy behind despite having 3 seconds more in penalties. And we were talking about the essence of getting a move on. Time not on Kindle Zero's side here. The McLaren teammate is currently in a bit of trouble here because he's got 1 second, but then there'll be only 2 laps to go. As now DRS opens up for Kindle. But can he make anything of it as now Scambro is in the pits again from 20th place here. So all 20 drivers will be finishing. I think Scambro is trying to go for fastest lap of the race. And on lap 27 out of 29, I don't think Kindle Zero has enough time. So he has lost a win thanks to a 3-second penalty for track limit violations. That will not go to the stewards. And caution in sector 1 for a spun round Haas. But we're at the point now with 3 laps to go. I think that is Marito. No, that is Romano there. Of course, had his own little trouble there. There was certainly a battle happening, and that's between the 2 Red Bulls. But then Francesco getting involved in all of this as well. Backs out for now, but should have the better exit than the Red Bull. And he gets the move done. Gatoz there, losing a position. And now he's going to try and fight back, but the Aston Martin has got the DRS as well, so there's no way he's going to be able to get that move done. As now the Aston solidifies 15th place, but 5 places away from point-scoring positions. And it's going to be one to forget for the Aston Martin. Got a singular point thanks to penalties and 2 reserve drivers. Hence why Red Bull have points on the board. Luigi was the driver to get 3rd place last week, but not with us tonight. So the Red Bulls are now really slacking it down in 14th and 15th. And now look at this. Battle for 7th place. Still 2 laps to go for this group. And who's going to have the DRS? It will be Steve because he is on 7-lap fresher tyres. And also Marito has more penalties to serve post-race. But now Kindle Zero has caught right up to the back of the leader. But needs a lap to get 3 seconds on the board. If Upham makes a single mistake that sends him over the white line, it will be a 3-second penalty. But does Kindle Zero try and force the Williams into a mistake? Does he try and apply the pressure? Foxy's not too far behind. Romano retires in the pit lane. Had a massive post-race penalty, so that's going to be free real estate for the drivers behind him, such as Francesco, Gatoz, Chirolo, Kai, John Liu, and Pinolo. But I don't think the lap drivers will benefit from that, as now, here we go, Kindle Zero will go to the inside, and he's going to get the move done into turn 1, maybe lock up on both fronts, and now Apam will fight that back, potentially, but knows the driver in front. 3-second penalty for track limit violations. Does the Williams fight this back? We're going to wait and see. He's going to certainly try something as the McLaren goes defensive here. And Apam now has to settle for what is 2nd place. I thought the McLaren was forced into a spin there for a hot minute, but no such thing. Apam fully in control of this race and just needs to make sure he stays within that 3-second window, and that's surely going to be easier done than said for once. Well, Apam just allowing the McLaren to get away. I think he's just going to say, well, I'll let you have a second, but I'm not going to let you have the full 3. And why would you at this point, as our Apam's DRS will now open, and Foxy, well, it's going to be at least 1st and 3rd for the McLaren team. So a double podium for them, but it's not going to be a win. Again, it is taken away thanks to post-race penalties, as there's been a moment for what I think that's the Racing Bulls driver of John Liu Alex. But now, even though Kindle Zero, as Scambro has retired from the session there, so he's now going to be in 20th. But at the moment now, it's Kindle Zero to the line, 1.5 seconds. It will not be enough for the win of the race. There will Pam, for the second time in a row, wins in Bahrain, but Kindle Zero now relegated to second, but a great podium again from both McLarens. It is Kindle Zero in second, Captain Foxy third. Umbi will get that position as John Lew's had a moment. What's happened? 10-second penalty. He's got a puncture. John Lew again with more bad luck, and he's going down the order. A puncture on his hard tyres, as now John Lew, from a certain top 5, drops down the order like a stone to water, and now has a penalty coming his way post-race. And now Spindler also going to come to the line in 8th place, guaranteed there, as now John Lew has had to retire. He's not scoring at all. He's rage quit on the track. Steve Ronaldo comes home, 10th place. Now make it 9th thanks to his teammates' penalty. So 10th, 9th and 10th for the Tifosi. Little Ninja comes home in what will be... Is it going to be 11th? It will be, as now Pinolo to the pit lane. It's going to crash into the entry. Francesco, though, can he do enough to get that half a second to confirm 12th place? I don't think he will, you know. No, in fact, Gattoz is starting to catch the Aston Martin. So, yeah, Francesco has not done enough. He will lose out to Gattoz at the line. Francesco with an evening to forget their 13th place favorite. Chirolo got to come home regardless. In 14th place for the Red Bull. A night to forget for them. Of course, Red Bull started the evening in 3rd place. But unfortunately, they will probably lose a lot of ground now to the constructors that have finished higher up. But the Alpine losing points as well, thanks to John Lew retiring as well on track. So it's going to be the McLaren of Williams that gain big on tonight's Bahrain Grand Prix. And an unfortunate state of affairs there for John Lew. A puncture on the left-hand side of his car on the rear tyre, which is what did it. But double podium for the McLaren pair. Captain Foxy and Kindle Zero putting in a good drive, but need to work on their track limits penalties, because it could have been a win for Kindle Zero, but it wasn't meant to be thanks to his penalty. So Pam again takes the win, and he gets it on a track limits violation. So, race winner, Pam. Captain Foxy with your fastest lap. Driver of the day goes to Ronaldo, but most overtakes and cleanest driver is Ninja and Pam. Your unofficial results coming out of Bahrain, 1st to 5th, is Pam, Kindle Zero, Foxy, Umbi, and Gianni, with 6th to 10th being Stee, Marito, Spindler, Ronaldo, and Jackie, with 11th to 15th being Ninja, Gattoz, Francesco, Chirolo, and Gian Lu, and then 16th to 20th, Kai, Gian Lu, Alex, Pinolo, Fomano, and Scambro. And that concludes another evening in TF1 Esports. That was round 2. What a round it was as well. Lots of wreck festing going on. Next week, we'll be off to Montreal, and well, we've seen a bunch of track limits penalties be applied there, and that is going to be only a similar problem. Of course, we are on for 8 p.m. next week. Do join us then. But until then, now, we're gonna have to just wait and see. 8 p.m. and then we're off to Silverstone. Of course, that was the home of the pre-season race in round 4. Then off to Shanghai in the week after, and then it's Qatar, followed by Red Bull Ring, then Mexico, Circuit to Catalonia in Spain, and then a finale in Abu Dhabi. Until then, until next week, thank you all so much for watching. From myself and TF1 Esports, from wherever you may be in the world, we do wish you a very good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. Stay safe, stay alive. We will see you next week in Montreal. Bye for now.